What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. The multiverse is starting to go into full effect in the MCU. A new scene has been released by Ryan Reynolds that shows Gambit getting rescued. Now, there are a lot of theories out there right now about where Gambit could have gone, and I have one of my own, but the most important part here is the fact that Gambit seems to be confirmed to show up again in the MCU at some point in time. If you haven't caught the video, Ryan Reynolds uploaded this to Instagram. He released this himself, and he stated that a version of this was played in the post-credit scene for Deadpool and Wolverine, which we saw and we've pointed out many times now. Check out the scene here. So this scene is very interesting and also kind of complex. We go back to the Void and we see all of the dead, we'll say minions of Cassandra Nova lying on the ground. We see Toad, we see Psylocke, and basically we know that Gambit, Elektra, X-23, and Blade killed everybody there. And there's a lot more to this scene that meets the eye. Like, some fans might be confused. Why is it just Gambit there and not everybody else? Where is Blade? Where is Elektra? And we know that X-23 is with Deadpool and Wolverine in the 10,005 universe. Don't worry, we'll get into that in just a bit, but we see Gambit walking. He's walking amongst the dead corpses on the ground. All of a sudden, he hears something behind him. He turns around, he looks up, and he sees what Deadpool calls Marvel Sparkle Circle, which is, I think, what a lot of people call it. At least now they do. But as far as why Gambit is here and nobody else is here, this is most likely due to the fact that the TVA probably sent Blade and Elektra back to their original universes, and they let X-23 go and be with Logan, who is now in the 10,005 universe, not the universe where he originally came from. But in the universe where X-23 originally came from, Logan is dead. And from what we understand, X-23 is from the 10,005 universe, but from the future where that Logan dies. So now she is in the same universe, but just back in time. That is what most people believe. Most people do believe this X-23 variant is the same one from Logan. And if not, it ultimately doesn't matter in the end because she is with Wolverine now and they seemingly are bonding. And there are clearly big plans for her and the rest of these variants that we saw in the Void, which we'll get into in this video. But going back to Gambit, he is the only one left in the Void because it's kind of the running joke here. He never had a universe where he came from. He jokes that maybe he was born in the Void. It's hard to say. And this is because obviously his movie, his Gambit movie, never got off the ground. It was supposed to be made. It got canceled due to the Disney Fox buyout. And Channing Tatum has talked about this. He said Kevin Feige was amazing. He said that he wanted to make the Gambit movie. He just didn't know where it fit in the current MCU plans. Therefore, they couldn't really make it. However, in came Ryan Reynolds to save the day, and he called up Channing Tatum and he said, "I want this for you." And this is confirmed. They've both talked about this in interviews. He said, "I want you to have this. I want you to play Gambit." And he played it pretty dang perfectly. Now, it did seem like everybody died to Alioth there at the end, but clearly the TVA has some sort of power in the Void still. So either they were able to bring them back in some way, shape, or form, or Alioth never actually did kill them. Maybe Alioth just simply cleaned up the villains who weren't completely and fully dead yet. Either way, it doesn't exactly matter. All that matters is Deadpool and Wolverine's Void team are back. We know X-23 is back, and this confirms that Gambit is back, and also they did show us that in the post-credit scene, there is this scene or a version of this scene in one of the monitors on the side. So we assume that Blade is back and Elektra is back, but they went back to their universes. And Channing Tatum simply ends up in the Void because he never had a universe to begin with. But then somebody comes for him, and this is the really interesting part because there's no true way of knowing who could be coming for him, although I do have an idea. A couple of ideas, actually. One is that this very well could be Deadpool, and most likely is, because we know that Cassandra Nova had the sling ring that seemingly had the time stone and the reality stone inside of it. And the last time she used that sling ring was to go into the 10,005 universe where she went to the Time Ripper. From there, she died, and that sling ring might have been evaporated, or it might have fallen to the ground and Deadpool picked it up, because that is just something that Deadpool would do. We can kind of think of this possibly like the Deadpool 2 post-credit scene, where Deadpool takes Cable's time travel device and he goes around in the past and he fixes some things and changes some things that he wanted to. I definitely don't think Deadpool would pass up the opportunity to get himself a Marvel Sparkle Circle device. And he clearly likes Gambit. When he first meets Gambit, he starts talking about how attractive he is. He says that he is the superhero version of Hawkeye. Yes, he does go on to make fun of him, but again, thanks to interviews that have happened after Deadpool and Wolverine came out, we know from both Channing Tatum and Ryan Reynolds got Channing Tatum in this movie. Of course, Channing Tatum was ecstatic to come back, but Ryan made it happen story-wise, continuity-wise. He made it possible for Gambit to actually enter the MCU, and Kevin Feige said, yes, that is great. And now there is a real future for him, but the point is Ryan Reynolds got this to happen, so it would make sense that Deadpool got the sling ring and wanted Gambit to come to his universe. After all, he was the one that mentioned it to the TVA at the end that said he had some friends that could use some saving. And he knows Gambit doesn't have a universe, so him going to get Gambit out of the void using the sling ring that Cassandra Nova had in that 10,005 universe, because that's how she opened the portal to get there, and we know she wouldn't leave it behind because then she couldn't open a portal to get back. So this is the most likely scenario. However, if you don't want to buy into the fact that Deadpool probably picked up Cassandra Nova's sling ring, maybe it was destroyed when she was destroyed, another option is that this could be Wong or Doctor Strange trying to get Gambit into the main sacred timeline, because in Deadpool and Wolverine, it's very clear that the TVA, and to be specific, the higher ups at the TVA, probably B-15, wanted Deadpool in the sacred timeline. Paradox says this several times throughout the film, that it was his superiors who thought Deadpool needed to go to the sacred timeline because he has some purpose there. So clearly they interfere a little bit when they think that they could actually help. They don't prune timelines anymore, but if you're going to protect the main sacred timeline, it seems like the TVA does get involved a little bit, and possibly Loki even commands them as well. So it could have even been Loki that said, hey, I need Deadpool in the sacred timeline. And it is possible that the TVA could have interfered once again and possibly have even told Wong or maybe even Doctor Strange. Loki can obviously monitor all of the different timelines, different universes that he is holding together. And his magic is very, very powerful. He probably can project himself into any of the universes that he's holding together and communicate. So perhaps he goes to Wong, perhaps he goes to Doctor Strange, and he tells them, you need this person in your universe because I'm detecting that something's about to go down. And Gambit is currently misplaced, just stuck in the void. Why don't you go and save him? Get him out for me. Now, I'm more inclined to believe that this is actually Wong, because based off of what we saw in the Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness post-credit scene, Doctor Strange is busy. He's with Clea, possibly in the Dark Dimension or another universe entirely. So I'm more prone to believe that this is Wong going and getting Channing Tatum's Gambit out of the void. But whether it's Deadpool or Wong or Doctor Strange and Clea or somebody else entirely getting Gambit out of the void, it seems that one thing is clear. Channing Tatum's Gambit is not done, but has now officially entered the MCU and is in an actual timeline, in an actual universe, and not just the void. And I think it's kind of obvious at this point in time, considering how big the reception of the audience was of Blade, Elektra, Gambit, X-23. These characters should be returning in Avengers Doomsday or Avengers Secret Wars. We are in the multiverse saga, and that is one of the main benefits of the multiverse saga, is that all these characters can, one, come back like they did in Deadpool and Wolverine, but two, come back again. And of course, expect to see a lot more cameos as we dive even further into the multiverse and incursions finally start to happen. So go ahead, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments down below, and let me know who you think used a sling ring to get Gambit out of the void. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of the latest MCU news. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.